All right, our story so far has focused on Israeli efforts, particularly within and near the Gaza Strip. Israel is surrounded by 4 countries. We're now taking you to updates on the Lebanese border, the border they share with Lebanon. Following the shooting forwards and towards an IDF military post on the Lebanese border, the IDF, remember, is the Israeli Defense Forces. The IDF is continuing to strike in the area. The IDF has also issued a statement. They're saying, and I quote, the area up to 4 kilometers from the northern border with Lebanon has been closed. Remember, Lebanon is home to the Hezbollah outfit. It is the back and forth between the Hezbollah that has also been Israel's focus within the last few days. The IDF now emphasizing that entry into the area is now prohibited. They're asking the public to be aware of this. Remember, this is taking place. These are developments coming in from the north of Israel. So far, we have focused largely on the south. My colleague Abhishek, who is with us right now, Abhishek has been in Tel Aviv. He's now moving south as we speak, but he's joining us to bring us context on this story. Abhishek, we've largely focused over the last few days on the Israeli counteroffensive when it comes to what's taking place on the Gaza Strip. These are developments taking place up north against Hezbollah, which is based out of Lebanon. Can you bring us context?
Well, the fight has started actually in northern Israel as well, where now Hezbollah have started, targeting Israeli military locations. Today, as we are reporting, one of the anti-tank gun or firing has caused some injuries to the Israeli side also. So now the fight between Hezbollah and Israel is, furthering to a level where both sides have started targeting each other. There have been multiple rounds of rockets also that have been launched from the Hezbollah side into the Israeli territory. Israeli sirens have been going off there, telling people to rush to the safety. But Hezbollah side fight, though the situation along the border in Lebanon is tense, but action is largely concentrated in southern Israel, where Gaza is not very far, like about 3 kilometers from here, and the Israeli government has given about 3 hours window that will end by 1.5 hours from now, and they had asked people to move from the North Gaza to the South Gaza or to other safer places, so that more action or more targeting of Hamas holdouts will be happening today also.
Okay.
We have seen in the past also during the multiple attacks by the Israeli forces, there have been several casualties of civilians, and this is what Israeli forces are trying to limit by asking people to leave and giving them a safe time and corridor to move to safer places towards southern Gaza.
Abhishek, I'm actually going to ask you to stay with us. One more update for our audiences about Hezbollah, and then we'll come back to you for more context on the story you were just talking about. We were talking right now about Hezbollah and the action they're continuing to take from Lebanon. They've taken responsibility for an attack that took place a few hours ago that killed Israeli civilians in a little village on the outskirts of Israel, particularly on the Israel-Lebanon border. Remember, our colleague Abhishek was telling us a little while earlier about Hezbollah developments. Then he was telling us more about the action that is taking place right now on the Gaza Strip. Let's go back to Abhishek to understand more. Abhishek, you were telling our audiences that the IDF had on Friday itself told citizens in North Gaza to move down south, and that's about 1.1 million people who are now going to be attempting to move down south. Abhishek, the United Nations has said that it is impossible for this amount of people to make their way down south in time. You also have hospitals in northern Gaza that are overflowing with patients right now. What exactly is the situation?
The situation is very bad. The situation is very, pitiable, if you could say, for the Palestinian people who may not have much of a stake in the geopolitical scenario that is unfolding in the region, but they are being targeted, they are being the victims of the war that is ongoing between Israel and Hamas. Clearly, Israeli side has blamed Hamas for using humans or Palestinian people as shield to protect themselves from the upcoming attack from the Israeli side, and many of them have been forcibly stopped or are not being encouraged from the Hamas side to go to the respective safer shelters, and this is also true that in a very short span of time, maybe like few hours, people cannot gather this stuff and move to a place. And where will they move? Actually, the southern part is also not a a place where 1.1 million people could be sheltered. There has to be shelter home created. There has to be tents up, and it will take about few days before any world agencies or UN or other NGOs could create some safe houses for the people moving from South Gaza to the North Gaza. That much time is not being allowed because, of course, the pressure is very much mounting on the Israeli government to take strong action against Hamas. Hamas, on its part, has continued with its rocket firing on Israeli location. Today also, as we are talking, we have just seen some footages. If I could show you up in the sky, you could see those clouds. They are not the cloud. They are all part of the recent firing that has happened from the Gazan side, and Israeli drones dropping ammunition on the locations of Hamas militants. So, and the engagement of Hamas rockets and the Israeli Iron Dome, and these are the clouds of those attacks that have just happened a while ago. The situation remains tense. People are trying to move to safer places. They don't have enough time. Israeli forces are pressing them to go and move immediately. Hamas are stopping them from moving. Hamas are also using hospitals, schools, and other civilian infrastructure as a site where they can hide themselves in the pretext of Israeli government probably would not attack these safer zones. So the situation, while the humanitarian situation is going very badly there, the politics of war is very ugly, and Israeli forces are actually targeting Hamas, and that is really causing a lot of damage to the civilian infrastructure also, and several dozens or hundreds of civilians have also been dead in the pounding of Israeli missiles onto various locations in Gaza targeting Hamas militant.
Okay. Abhishek, we're going to continue to keep touching back with you to get more context on all of the developments. Do stay safe. We're now going to take our audiences to different pictures from the ground. These are a set of videos coming in. Let's take a look. The first video coming in, these are eyewitness videos that are revealing the aftermath of the continuous onslaught of missiles on the Gaza Strip. In these visuals, you can see people desperately searching in the rubble for survivors. Gaza authorities say that more than 2,200 people have now been killed. A quarter of them are women and children. They're also saying nearly 10,000 people have been wounded. These visuals on the screen behind you. Okay, our next visual. So the previous visual came into you from the Gaza Strip. This is coming to you from Tel Aviv. Tel Aviv is towards the northern to central part of Israel. In Tel Aviv, as you can see, sirens warning off residents. These are sirens that have been functioning around the clock for over a week now, right from Saturday morning last week. Now it's been a week. You can see the sirens warning residents every time there is an impending missile attack taking place. Residents take shelter. Most residents have bomb shelters built within their homes, particularly in more modern buildings. We're going to move on now from this visual. This one was coming into you from Tel Aviv. Okay. A kibbutz is a small village that's primary functioning is usually agriculture. A number of kibbutzes that were located on the outer parts of the Gaza Strip were attacked on Saturday morning by Hamas militants. It's that attack that actually triggered the retaliation that we are now seeing. Now, in the last few days, Israel army has been able to reclaim control in these kibbutzes. The sights that they've seen have been described by many as heart-wrenching. Take a look. These are visuals coming in from those areas. And this is a very current visual that we've got coming into you. These are Israeli forces. You can see tanks over here behind me that are deployed near the Gaza border. For about 5 days now, we've been telling you that Israel has been moving its troops down. Right now, about 300,000 troops, reservists, about 3% of the entire Israeli population is present in this region. It's an impending, as we've told you, ground invasion that is going to be taking place in perhaps just a few hours. This is what our reporters are telling us. We'll continue to bring you input. Our next visual, this one comes in from Egypt. Now, it's important to point out, Egypt is on the southern side of the Gaza Strip. There is a crossing that is called the Rafah crossing. It is currently closed, but the World Health Organization has got a plane to carry medical supplies to Egypt. They're hoping that that Rafah crossing between Egypt and the Gaza Strip will be opened up so that medicines can be allowed inside the region.